About 20 hours ago, I placed into my blending processing tank 15 gallons of waste motor oil, and I added to that, actually it was 16 gallons of waste motor oil I put into my blending tank, and to that I added 4 gallons of gasoline, waste gasoline that I had used previously to filter my filters with, backflush my filters to regenerate them. So once I've regenerated my filters with clean gasoline, then I put it into my blending tank and blend it with whatever waste oil I have. And most of the time I blend with waste vegetable oil because I prefer the smell and the ethics behind burning vegetable oil. But occasionally I'll blend with motor oil because some people do it and I want to understand how to do it. So anyway, I have 16 gallons of waste motor oil in this 20-gallon processing tank, and I put 4 gallons of gasoline on top of it, and I let it sit for 20 hours. And so now this morning, first thing before moving my van, I will drain off the sludge, so you'll get a chance to see what the sludge looks like. As you can see, this is the bottom of my 20-gallon processing tank, and I have a valve right here that I'm going to open up, and I'm going to drain the sludge out into this container, and you'll be able to see, you should see a fairly thick sludge at first. So let's see what we get. So I'm opening the valve slowly, and oh, it's actually fairly thin coming out at first. I'm surprised. Now it's coming out thick and dark. Typically it takes maybe a gallon or two will be drained off. So I'm going to drain off 2 gallons. Oh boy. Good to have a slop bucket here. That bit of clear that came out at first probably was stuck in the valve and left from me back flushing my tank. So it's still coming out pretty thick and dark. This will be the second half gallon or second 2-liter container. This is the third half-gallon container of sludge being extracted from my blend of 20% gasoline to 80% waste motor oil. Now, as you can see, it's coming out thick, pretty much like motor oil, but eventually it should start running thin. And I usually keep draining until it starts running thin. This is the 6th container of sludge that I'm draining off from the bottom of the tank. And it's still coming out pretty thick. This is the 7th container of sludge being drained off from the bottom of the tank. This is the 8th half-gallon container waste or sludge being drained off the bottom of my tank. It seems to be getting thinner, but it's still roughly the consistency of motor oil, which means there's got to be much thinner stock above. And this is the 9th half-gallon container of waste motor oil drain from the bottom of my blending tank. These 3 samples represent the 3 stages of precipitation of sediments in a waste motor oil or black diesel blend of fuel. The first stage, basically, these represent 3 days of sediment. And how I remove the sediments from my waste oil blends is I'll maybe drain the sediments once a day, and so this will be the first day of sediment, and you'll be able to see that there's a fair amount of sediment at the bottom, and it represents about 10% of the total volume. On the second day, there will be about half as much sediment accumulated at the bottom of the blending tank, and this is what it looks like. It's about half as much as what was in the other bottle. Here we go. So this one is the first day, and this is about half as much, and it is the second day of sediment. And then on the third day, about this much precipitates out, which is about half again as much. And then after filtering, I might extract a jar and let it sit for a week. And if you see nothing but a dark ring at the bottom, then you've done a good job of filtering your waste oil blend fuel. These are the 4 stages of sediment production represented by the 4 bottles. The one on the far left is the first day of sediments extracted. The next one to the right is the second day of sediment extraction. The third one from the left is the third day of sediment extraction, and the one on the far right is a sample container of waste oil that had been filtered and left no sediments at the bottom of the container.